Shabbat Yahweh. How many have come to hear the word of Yahweh today? Amen. Big kids, stay put. Turn with me, please, to Shemot. Shemot, you don't want to miss any of this, so come right back after you drop your children. Shemot 13, verse 1. I'll be preaching for a few days, a message entitled, Firstborn, Pidyon Haben, from Exodus to Revelation. Firstborn, Pidyon Haben, from Exodus to Revelation. What's the name of the message? Firstborn, Pidyon Haben, from Exodus to Revelation. Verse 1. Shemot, Exodus 13:1. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, separate to me all the Bachor, the firstborn, whoever opens the womb among the children of Yisrael, both of man and beast. It is mine. Now go down to verse 10. You shall shomer, meaning guard, this hook, in its appointed time, from year to year, year to year. Now wait a second. Well, we know that Shemot chapter 12 is dealing with Exodus and the exodus of our people from Mitzrayim. But here Yahweh is not talking about Pesach, which is coming up in what? April. About 5 or 6 weeks. Yahweh is not talking about Pesach. He's saying, separate to me, give to me, set apart to me, donate to me, make sure I get fully every Bachor, firstborn male, who opens the womb among the children of Israel, both men and beasts. Sorry, ladies, it's just men and beasts. But then Yahweh jumps down to verse 10 and says, you will shomer this hook in its appointed time from year to year. Now, how does he go from Pidyon Haben, the redemption of the firstborn, then he goes into Chag Matzot in verse 7, 8, and 9, and then he says in verse 10, we will shomer this hook. Now, we know that Chag Matzot, or Pesach, is to be celebrated when? In the springtime of the year. Correct? We know that. But he's also talking about Pidyon Haben, the redemption of the firstborn. Well, the redemption of the firstborn, as we're about to read, is supposed to happen 30 days after a male child is born. On the 8th day, the male child is circumcised, Brit Milah, and then on the 30th day, he is donated and given to Yahweh in order that he could be redeemed back for the physical family. This is going to get very confusing if you don't stay with me. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Now jump down to verse number 11. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Verse number 11. So first he talks about, help me with this thing here. First he talks about setting apart the Bachorim Yisrael, verse 2. Then he jumps down and talks about Chag Matzot, the exodus from Mitzrayim, and Pesach. Then he says in verse 9, the Pesach is a sign between your eyes and upon your hand. And then he says in verse 7, you shall shomer this hook, this ordinance. Then he goes back to verse 12, and in verse 12, he speaks again about the redemption of the firstborn, or Pidyon Haben. It seems like Yahweh is jumping all over the place. Are you getting this? Talk to me. It seems like Yahweh's going from Pidyon Haben to Pesach and Chag Matzot, and now he's going back to Pidyon Haben, and he's mushing it, and he's putting it all together for you. Well, the truth of the matter, he is putting it all together for you. Now look at verse 12. So you shall set apart to Yahweh all that peters the womb. That's an interesting word, isn't that? Peter. You ever hear of Peter? I said, you ever hear of Peter? If you're sleeping, just please raise your hand so I can see. Ray is not sleeping. You're translating. You're translating. You can't be sleeping. You're translating. Oh, you were just taking your jewelry. Oh, you were donating your firstborn to Yahweh. Oh, I get it. Okay. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. You shall set apart, verse 12, all that peters the womb. Now in English you might have it in your Bibles as opens, but in the Restoration Scriptures it's correctly all that peters the womb. We'll talk more about that later. And every peter that comes from a beast, which you have, all the males belong to Yahweh. Verse 13. Every Bachor, firstborn of a donkey, you will redeem with a lamb. And if you will not redeem the donkey, you will break its neck. Meaning, it's useless to you or to me. All the Bachor males among your children you must redeem. Circle those words. All the Bachor males among your children you must redeem. Now, back in verse 10, Yahweh says, this is an ordinance in an appointed time forever. Now, we're going to read elsewhere in the Torah, we're supposed to do the redemption of the firstborn after 30 days. But Yahweh here says, no, I want you to do it in the season of the Passover at its set, fixed, and appointed time. Now what? Verse 14, and it shall be when your son asks you in times to come, saying, what is this? Now what's Yahweh talking about? Would you help me please? Is he talking about Chag Matzot, or is he talking about Pidyon Haben, the redemption of the firstborn? I don't know what he's talking about, do you? He has this thing all mixed in together. He has Pidyon Haben and Chag Matzot all mixed in together. Shalom, hermano. Eliyahu HaNavi Zachariah HaTishbi. So he's got this all mixed in together. So when my son asks me, what am I doing this weird Passover ceremony? I shall say to him, the strength of the hand of Yahweh brought us out from the Mitzrayim, from the Bayit of bondage. And it came to pass Pharaoh was going to kill us, verse 15, and would hardly let us go. Yahweh killed all the Bachor in the land of Mitzrayim, both the Bachor, the firstborn of man, and the Bachor of beast. So therefore, son, turn to your neighbor and say, therefore, son. Turn to your neighbor and say, Papa, son. Therefore, son, I sacrifice the lamb of Pesach to Yahweh, because he took me out of Mitzrayim when I was a slave to Pharaoh ben Mitzrayim. But you were a slave also, and he redeemed you as the firstborn. Listen. Because in the land of Mitzrayim, Egypto, Yahweh killed the Bachor of the Egyptian men and the beasts. So I sacrificed to Yahweh all that peters, all that opens the womb, being a male. But all the Bachor of my children I redeemed. So there were two kinds of firstborn here. There were two kinds of Bachor here. There were the Bachorim who were slain, the Egyptian firstborn, and then there was the firstborn of Israel who was redeemed, somebody. And so this ceremony of both the Pesach and the Chag Matzot is established along with the Pidyon Haben forever, for all generations. They all go together. Now Yahweh tells us later on that we are to redeem the firstborn of Israel in the Pidyon Haben, or in the redemption of the firstborn, 30 days after the baby is born, not at Passover. Yet Yahweh says here, when your son asks you, what are you doing? You say to him, I am doing this because Yahweh took us out of Mitzrayim, and I am doing this because when he slayed all the Egyptian firstborn, he preserved and sustained the life by the blood of the lamb of all the Israelite firstborn, and that's why I'm doing both in season. Turn to your neighbor and say, in season. I'm doing both in season. See, if you're walking as a child of Yahweh, it's not up to you to determine the seasoning of your walk. You can't just use sea salt or crazy salt when Yahweh has ordained you to use pepper to sprinkle your walk with Yahweh. And when you substitute Christmas and Ishtar and St. Valentine's Day for the Moadim and the Feast of Yahweh, you're walking in disobedience because you're sprinkling your own walk. Mordecai, you understand what I'm saying? You're sprinkling your own walk. Let's continue. So Yahweh mixes it up because they're all related. So when our children ask us, why do our people follow the mitzvah of Pidyon Haben, the redemption of the firstborn, we are to tell them. Shemot 13, 14 through 16. We were brought out of Mitzrayim, notice, by the hand of Yahweh, and Pharaoh would hardly let us go, but Yahweh killed all the Bachor in the land of Mitzrayim. But all that petters the womb, being the males of Israel, Yahweh saved. They lived. They exited. They survived. Turn to your neighbor and say survive. So I am commanded as a father in Israel to redeem my firstborn man, to show my children and the world that my ancestors survived, and my firstborn survived when the Egyptian firstborns did not survive. And yet we don't do this. You couldn't find, can we talk? You couldn't find a Messianic rabbi, if your Radio Shack transmitter depended on it, that would do Pidyon Haben, that still does Pidyon Haben, because most so-called Messianic rabbis don't even know what it is. And here Yahweh says, it's a chuk, it is a commandment forever. How many believe Pesach is a commandment forever?
Amen.
So is Pidyon Haben. Have you redeemed your firstborn? No, because many of you are returning Ephraimites, you didn't even know you're supposed to redeem your firstborn. Many of you who are Jewish people didn't even know that this was required in Torah, just as Pesach observance and the Moadim observance is required. You with me, Brett? Do you have a firstborn? Did you do Pidyon Haben? You've never done Pidyon Haben. Joshua grew up, but he didn't have a redemption of the firstborn, more than likely. So we are to perform the redemption of the firstborn so that future generations, as well as our current generation, should Yeshua tarry, will know, number one, what it is, number two, what Yahweh has done for us, and number three and number four. There's a number three and there's a number four, and I'm going to get to the number three and the four, which is the deep meat of Yahweh. I'm going to get to the three and the four. Are you with me? I said, are you with me?
Amen.
Or do I stop it now? I'm not stopping even if you said I could. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Bamidbar 18:15. Okay, we established the principle. There's a connection, not a pagan connection, but there's a divine connection between the Pesach season, the season of Chag Matzot, and the redemption of my firstborn son. There's a connection. I'm talking about a love connection to obey Yahweh. Remember that show? Love Connection, Love Boat, all these, I get confused between the love boats and the love shows and the love these and the love that. Bamidbar 18:50. Bamidbar, Numbers. This stuff is not going on in the church world. This stuff is not going on in the Messianic world. Why not? Yahweh says all those Messianic congregations that sit down and eat Pesach, what are they performing Pidyon Haben on their children? I'm born again. Do I have to perform Pidyon Haben on my child? Well, Yahweh says it's forever. Just like Pesach and Chag Matzot are forever. Of course you do. But we didn't because we didn't know. We were in ignorance. We didn't know. Okay. But Yahweh has stopped winking at our ignorance. Those seasons, those times are over. Behold, now is the day, for the heavens must retain Yeshua until the time of the restoration of all things. Bamidbar 18:15. Here Yahweh continues to elaborate on the Pidyon Haben, meaning the redemption of the son, the firstborn. Pidyon Haben, the redemption of the firstborn son. Bamidbar 18:50. Everything that peters the womb, And it is no coincidence, darling, that Peter opened the keys of renewed covenant Israel in Acts chapter 2 on Shavuot, and he stood up and he says, "This is that which was spoken by Yoel the Navi. In the last days, saith Yahweh, I will pour out my Ruach upon all flesh. And your sons and daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. Even upon my handmaidens I will pour out of my Ruach," says Yah. It's no coincidence that Peter opened the womb of the renewed covenant congregation. Because the Hebrew word for opening the womb is Peter. And Yahweh had a man named Peter show up to open the womb of Yeshua's renewed covenant congregation, Yisrael. Go ahead and be dazzled and amazed. That's okay. Baruch Hashem, Yahweh. We'll talk more about that. So Yahweh continues, verse 15. Everything that Peters, the womb of all flesh, which they bring to Yahweh, because Yahweh said it's mine, whether it is of man or beast, shall be yours. Nevertheless, the Bachor of man shall you surely redeem, and the firstling of unclean beasts shall you surely redeem. And those, verse 16, that are to be redeemed from a month old, you shall redeem according to your estimation, for the money of 5 shekels, after the shekel of the Kadosh place, which is 20 gerah. Baruch Hashem, Yahweh. So what does Yahweh say? I passed through Mitzrayim. I slayed the Egyptian firstborn. I rescued the firstborn of Israel. They're not yours, they're mine. When they're born, give them to me. In prayer, in service, and in ceremony. There is a ceremony at an appointed time, at an appointed season, when an Israelite is to give the firstborn to Yahweh in their life, because Yahweh says they are mine. Give them to me. Because I redeemed your sons from Mitzrayim, and so they are not yours. The second and third and fourth born is yours, but the firstborn is mine, saith Yahweh. Talk to me, somebody. But it doesn't end there. Yahweh says, now verse 16, but the firstborns are to be redeemed, starting with a month old, 30 days. Verse 16, Bamidbar 18. You shall redeem the Bachorim, the Yisrael, according to your estimation, for the money of 5 shekels. What does that mean? According to your estimation. That means a minimum of 5 shekels, but if you think that my people, Israel, are worth more than 5 shekels, you give more than 5 shekels, because that money is going to the Kohanim and to the Leviim to support them in the ministry, somebody. So you start with, people ask me all the time, FAQ, frequently asked questions. Rabbi, do I have to tithe? Nope, you can be broke, unemployed, and on welfare. I don't care. You can have a financial curse on your home. Now, you don't have to tithe 10%. You get to tithe. You get to obey Yahweh because you're his child. You get to. Hallelujah. To God about Yahweh. Hallelujah. Now watch this. So in the redemption of the firstborn, we start with a minimum of 5 pieces of silver, 5 shekel. But we don't have to end. We can go up to 20 gerahs or more, which is a different tax of the Kadosh place. Don't have time to get into it today. Bamidbar 3:11, Yahweh again spoke to Moshe, saying, more truth, elaborating on the same topic. You see, I have taken the Leviim from among the children of Israel. Verse 12. Numbers, Bamidbar 3:12. Bamidbar 3:12. You see, I have taken the Leviim from among the children of Israel, instead of all the Bachor, the firstborn, that peters the womb among the children of Israel. So therefore, from henceforth, the Leviim shall be mine. Like the firstborn used to be mine, now the Leviim, who serve the Kohanim, who are also priests, both the Leviim and the Kohanim are priests, but the Leviim are the servants of the priest. So it used to be all the firstborn, but now it will be the Kohanim and the Leviim. And therefore, all that opens, Peter is the womb, from among the children of Israel, it will no longer be just the firstborn, it will now be the Leviim also. Watch this. Verse 13. Is anyone with me?
Amen.
All right, anyone on this side of the room? Is anybody on that side's always with me? Is anybody on this side with me?
Amen. Hallelujah.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Bamidbar 3:13. Because all the Bachor are mine, for on the day I smote all the Bachor, in the land of Mitzrayim, I made all the Bachor in Israel kadosh to me, both man and beast, they shall be mine. I am Yahweh. Yet, verse 14. Yahweh spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Har Sinai, saying, number the children of Levi after the Bayit, the house of their Ahavot, fathers, by their mishpachot, every male from a month old and upwards, you shall number them. Okay. So Yahweh says the Pidyon Haben, or the redemption of the firstborn, is to take place when? At 30 days. And it should be every father redeeming every firstborn son in Israel. But then Yahweh included the tribe of Levi, or the Leviim, because something happened. Something happened. It happened. Abraham, it happened. What happened? I'm glad you asked. After the Israelites received the Torah, Moshe went up on Har Sinai for how many days? Rachel, how many days was Moshe up there with Papa? 40 days and 40 nights. Afterward, however, because of an erroneous calculation among the people, the 40 days passed, and many of Israel believed that Moshe had died and they needed a new leader because they miscalculated. They said, for this man Moshe, where is he? It's now past 40 days and he's not coming back down. It was not yet 40 days, but they were miscalculating and they thought it was 40 days and they thought he was not coming back down. Does this make any sense? I said, this makes sense?
Yes.
They miscalculated. Jewish literature calls this group the Erev Rav. And I find that very interesting. Write it down. You're not going to remember all this. The Erev Rav. I find that very interesting. The Hebrew word Erev means what? Night. Rav means what? Great. So it's better to call me Rabbi than Rav, because I'm not great, only Yeshua is great. Or teacher. Rabbi is a Hebrew word for teacher. Erev Rav means the great night. So Jewish literature calls this insurrection against Yahweh that led to Exodus 35, the Egel HaZahav. Jewish literature calls this the great night of our people. Am I boring you?
No.
The great night of Israel. We're a group of converts coming out of Mitzrayim who maintain their idolatrous beliefs from Mitzrayim, wound up making the Egel HaZahav. What's the Egel HaZahav? The golden calf. We know all about the worship of the golden calf, right?
Yes.
And trust me, I'll leave my chihuahua home on Purim, so none of you can accuse me of bringing a golden calf into the synagogue. But I'll have my own Purim at home without you, with my dog. Thank you. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. We call it a Chihuahua Purim. You've heard of regular Purim and you've heard of Shushan Purim. This is Chihuahua, Margita, Purin. But there are people that actually believe that's idolatry. And Muslims won't touch a dog. Muslims will not have dogs as pets. Orthodox Jews will, because they believe it's an unclean dog. Allah supposedly told Muhammad not to eat dog, not to have a dog. So they're illegal for a Muslim to have. But Orthodox Jews have plenty of dogs. Even the German kinds. They don't care what dog it is. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Then people say to me, well, why does Yahweh call dog unclean? Well, Yahweh called dog unclean. Yahweh called many animals unclean.